Hey guys, okay, so I'm going to talk about some important energies and transits going on for the rest of this month. This is actually really important because these are the new energies that we're fully stepping into more so next year. So the more that we can have awareness and, motivation, and then just getting into where we can take action with these new energies, the more powerful we're going to be next year. So I'm going to show you how you can take advantage of this. And hi, if you don't know me, my name is Jenna. I talk about astrology and energy updates, and I pull some cards. I give you all the tools that you need so you can manifest your best reality, because the best way to predict your future is to create it. And this energy that I'm going to be talking about is majorly us recognizing how powerful we are as creators. So I'm going to be talking about Saturn and Neptune making a sextile to Uranus. And we're already feeling this already because Uranus already made a sextile to Saturn. And so, yeah, we're having a lot of breakthroughs and everything, new awareness. And then later this month, Uranus is going to be making a sextile to Neptune. So this is going to amplify us even more into the new. So we're going to be feeling this all through the rest of August. And then it comes back permanently next February, where Saturn and Neptune will conjunct exactly at 0 degrees in Aries. Do you realize how rare that is? The last time that happened was in like 600 BC, CE or BC, a long, long time ago, where Confucius and Buddha were around, and it caused like a awakening, just elevated consciousness. So in Aries, it's really fast too. So we're really getting used to this right now. We're seeing how we're integrating again, how humanity is integrating again with the cosmic energies and source energy. 600 BCE. I wrote it down. Look at your notes, Jenna. Okay, so, and I also love, because I've been following the Mayan calendar, which I love just because it does get you in flow with the bigger energies. I see signs, I see synchronicities, I see squirrels, I see like all the things that you see when you are truly in flow with the bigger energies. And you get a lot more support and a lot more access for creativity and, just guidance with where you're supposed to go. So I love how we're going to be, for the majority of these next 2 weeks, we're going to be in this area, this green area right here. And that green area is really important because this is where the veils are kind of thinner. They call it the galactic activation portals, where there's more connection to the Akashic records, to the quantum field, to source. And we're going to be able to do that deeper work to realize more of ourselves. This is going to be a very good time for meditation and really integrating the higher energies that are coming in so intensely right now. Like, oh my God, I was kind of dead this entire week. Cause you have like an up day where you're like hyper, 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 and then it's like doom, like all the way down and just like can't do anything. But intense energies that are really activating us to more of ourselves. And the app I'm using actually is Lit Vibe Meditation, Shaman Durek's app. I don't get like money or whatever for this. I just really like the app because when you do those certain meditations when you're feeling more love, when you're feeling more gratitude, when you're consciously like integrating your intuition and you're feeling it more so in your body, you become aware, at a crazier level, just the more awareness that we're really stepping into. And we're stepping into a time where we're going to be getting out of the mind and more so into that bodily intuition. And there is a lot more knowing with that. And it is all about feeling. We're moving into a time where we're living from the inside outward versus the outside inward, connecting with your inner world first and connecting with source and visualization and imagination, because imagination is literally just a bridge to, source and your higher self and everything. And you only get that knowing if you're actually doing it yourself. And once you do it yourself, you find so much peace and calm and ability to live from your heart and not your head. And when you start living in that way, you actually are, more, there's those memes always like God's plan, which is a ton of roses, and then my plan, which is a tiny little daisy that's like wilting. So we're connecting to living from the heart, where we can be more connected to source and living out God's plan, which is taking us in a bigger direction and on a bigger path that we could never even really come up with ourselves. And it is going to be so much more fulfilling and so much more expansive. And it's going to take us along on that soulful adventure that only our soul could come up with. This is how we can create soul aligned businesses and a soul aligned life that just feels good and is also at the same time really effortless and in flow. It's not like just completely just out of sync with us, or we're forcing it. That the more we do that, the more like we're going to feel the Saturn and Neptune and Aries, like our body getting pissed off at us, because it's the intuition trying to point us in the right direction. This is where you would feel just that pure like frustration or anger, and be like, no, like listen, get into your body. You got to listen. We're moving out of the Kali Yuga, which was the dark ages for the last 1,000 years, where humanity got completely cut off from source. And we were only focused on the material, and very few of us thrived, where we're moving back into a time of the Satya Yuga where we can all thrive, but we got to get reconnected to source again. And I definitely recommend, if you want to see that bigger cycle that we're in, Dan Waite's video about the yugas. And he posted a couple, but the most recent one I really like. Moving into a time where the human intellect can actually comprehend the fine matter. And you do, understand, and you have that deep knowing once you start meditating and doing all the things to connect to source more and comprehend divine magnetism and the source of all, and the electrical forces that bring us all together. And that's why manifestation is really powerful, because it kind of gets you, more so into the knowing that this is real and this actually works. Jesus was actually a manifester in a very high-end way, where, he turned water into wine, and then he held his stick and he grew branches all on it. He refilled a well and all these things. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction is allowing, not all of us, I guess all of us who decide to, go through this kind of awakening and realization, because it is a personal choice at the end of the day. Aries is all about the self and whoever is deciding to do that. But it's us recognizing, source intelligence and opening up the gateways to how we can restructure things with that higher knowing and with that connection. And I also like, Joe Dispenza is talking about how you kind of let in more light in everything, and it does extend the telomeres. And that is also at the same time us connecting to more so to our higher selves and embodying more of that light and that love. So we can reprogram our DNA. We can repair our DNA. We can break, instead of our DNA reprinting all the traumas and all the patterns from our family and everything. If we're very conscious about reprogramming our DNA and embodying more love, embodying more light, then we can start, living longer, and we can start looking a lot younger and shining, actually. Because I've seen a lot of people that are actually literally just shiny because they have done a lot of the work and everything to, really allow more light into their body and into their DNA. So we need to be releasing all the internal blocks to really reconnect to our multidimensionality again, and to have that awakening of consciousness. And this is where we're releasing all the fears. We're releasing guilt, shame, the trauma, anywhere where we're hanging on to something, anything that isn't love that we're hanging on to isn't actually source, and it's not our higher selves. And we can give ourselves all the reasons to hang on to it, but we need to just let it go, because it's not doing you or anyone a favor. You need to let it go. You need to bring it back into more love and transform all of that, because you want to look younger and you want to connect to your gifts and everything. And you want to open up to that higher consciousness. Because when this conjunction happens at 0 degrees, I just feel like there's going to be so much momentum. There's going to be so much more fire and air, and us just being able to really like take off and everything. So as long as we know how to, do all the things, then we can take off in really an insane way. We're becoming somebody that we've never really become before. And that is going to be someone that is so much more sovereign, so much more powerful, and in tune with who you truly are at that higher level, not the small self. We're getting rid of the small self. We're releasing the small self. So we can become this bigger version of ourselves and tune into that reality in that future that we want to create, that we get to create in a way that is really just for us. We need to release any doubt, shames, the dense emotions, even where we're stuck in judgment, because when we're stuck in judgment or even duality, that just creates, blocks, that creates the blocks to light, and that we need to get to neutrality at least. And that's how we can like lighten up literally. And that's how we can tune into more of our intuition and our body's yes or no. And you'll see like how much more amplified it gets when you start doing all the things. And also with Saturn, Neptune, this is where we're developing our own authority. We're going on our own soulful path and our own soulful journey to really discover what's right for us. And our society, especially white people society, I would say, like we do have a big problem with externalizing our authority. And you even see this in spirituality, in religion, in needing to go get a degree and everything. There's a big thing where we need to recognize that we are the authority. We're getting over a time where we're done regurgitating all the time, just regurgitating somebody else's truth and somebody else's systems that they came up with. When we get to these higher consciousnesses, we can develop our own truth. And yeah, we do go on a soulful journey where we pick up a little bit of this, pick up a little bit of that. And that's why I combine a lot when I do my astrology practices, because actually astrology for the most part can be so like locked in and say like, this is the only way it can be done. But actually like being so stuck in somebody else's system in that way does promote inauthenticity, and it does create people living in loops that are very inauthentic to them. So this is where, say you go to school, say you go learn something, say whatever it is, you take the parts of that do really serve you, but then you get to develop it on your own, because that's the only way that you're going to develop your own soulful path. Astrology is a tool, tarot is a tool, gene keys, all the systems and everything, and everyone else's knowledge is a tool. But at the end of the day, you get to develop your own authority in your own soulful path with what works for you. And I just got so annoyed actually, because I was on TikTok, and yeah, I'm going to talk shit right now because this guy's like a big douche, but TikTok, he's the one that talks about all the astrologers, all the successful astrologers that really know their shit. And he's like, they don't know, blah, blah, blah. I'm the only one. So basically he has the mentality of a cult leader. And literally I just saw his live where he's like, oh, well, I just was talking about this and, I foretell, literally he's saying he foretells something. He just putting himself on the perch where he's dictating his shit to everyone that doesn't know anything, all the peasants that don't know shit. So it's so annoying and so obvious. It's okay, any system like that where there's somebody propping themselves up saying that they know all, obviously they don't. And any system that creates a hierarchy like that, we're done with that. You have to allow people to kind of come to their own knowings about things. And if you're not in a system or religion or school or, job even, that doesn't that wants to create that hierarchy, we're ending that era. We're turning into more of a heterarchy, power to the people. Unfortunately, in systems like that, it does create a lot of fear for people stepping up into their own power and doing things their way, which we all need to be doing things, in our own way, in the best way that works for us. And we need to take the authority and step up and do it, because there is a way that you're meant to kind of follow your path and do what you love. And you only, figure that out when you go on your own journey, your soul journey, where you're following your curiosity. And that's where I love this sextile to Uranus, because we're following our curiosity and we're breaking out of the previous mental loops that we might have been stuck in that kept us kind of walled off, where we can, how you live on your soulful path, and I've done this so many times, is where you follow one thing and you get excited about it. And say you listen to a podcast, or you read a book, and it tells you about this completely other thing. Then that's the thing that you're supposed to be doing. And that's the thing that you're supposed to be doing in your own way, or combining it with whatever else you have been doing. And that's how you go on your own soulful path, in your own soulful journey, and you become the authority of whatever you're supposed to be the authority of. And it's hard to think how this would actually create more structure and more, coherence with everybody, because we haven't lived in a society that actually does this. But that's, I lived in Hawaii for, 4 years, and they're very in touch with a society that, did not do this. Like, nobody was above anybody. Everyone was all, equal. And it did create, and everyone was so much more of their unique individual selves. And there can be just so much more harmony and peace and just ability for everyone to thrive when we do live that way. So recognize that this is a way that we can live, and we will all be empowered, by doing that. But yeah, any religion or system that says like, this doesn't, no, you can't do that because that won't work for you, like, go somewhere else, because that is like a dangerous like mindset to be in still, that I think does lead to like that cultish leader thing, like telling people what does and what doesn't work for them. Like, let people figure out what works and what doesn't work for them. So that's why at the same time, it's helpful to let go of objectivity, or something where you would immediately shut something out because of previous programming, or, all of the million reasons that we might be like, no. Like, what you actually do need to do is kind of get into your body, get into your own vision and your imagination of what you want in your own heart, of what you want moving forward. And that's how you're actually going to find, new perspectives and new information and just new mindsets, where you can see the world in a different way. And at the same time, you're allowing yourself to really feel what way is right for you. You start to see more signs, and you start to see more synchronicities, and you just develop that connection with the God within. So where we don't need to, outsource our power to anybody, because we're recognizing how much of a direct connection we all actually have. And that when we live, from that place, from our hearts, we can, live more in flow. And Source is always speaking to you through lightness, through joy, through inspiration, through creativity, through like just excitement. And when you let yourself do that, religion and spirituality in general should be exciting. It should be uplifting and not so serious. And I think us as a, society in general, we're getting out of that seriousness where we're kept like very dense and limited. And actually, like, vibrationally, when we let ourselves get, down and, just in that denser state, like, we're not able to access our higher self more. You can look at the vibrational scale, anything above, or here, I'll pull it up. When you're below courage, that's when you're cut off from Source. You can't access Source. And there's people that just permanently live down here, in the guilt and the shame. And that's for a reason. That's why there's so much guilt and shame in religions. And not saying religions are bad, but we're taking those systems and we're taking them, we're evolving them. We're going to bring the good parts and, leave out the distortions. And the distortions are all, what's not up here, what is not that willingness and acceptance, joy, reason, enlightenment and love and creativity. This is where, we can really get connected with source to really kind of, have our own guidance. So it's not delusional, or even because there's so many distortions with like, oh, you are happy all the time. Like people down here will definitely say that, like try to pull you back down there. And probably, if somebody's living down here, most of the time they're sucking your energy anyway, because they're not connected to their own source. So that's where you need to live up here more and have that direct access. And I literally just started doing somatics this week. So somatics are really important because, our fascia is what stores all the previous trauma, and it's not just our fascia, it's many things. But a big part that I forgot, I didn't even know about until like last week, was the fascia and how you have to move it. And that is just all the soft tissue to get the trauma out of your body, because the trauma and what's in your nervous system and what's holding you back in those loops and those patterns is like stored in your body. So somatics really help. And it like, part of my audience is probably like a duh. And then the other part is just like, oh, okay, good. Like, I don't know how awakened my audience is. I feel like there might be a little bit of both, but like, and I feel like saying my audience is a little cocky, but anyway, somatics. And like, I literally just been doing it this last week, and I always have like a underlying, permanent, anxiety usually. And, sometimes it's super intense. Sometimes it's not as intense. It's gotten a lot better, obviously, since I've been doing this work and everything. But after the somatics and everything, I just walked into a store and I was just walking around and I was like, wait a second, like, I don't just walk around freely like this. And it was like so freeing. And I was like, holy shit, is that literally the thing? And so, yeah, somatics, I'm going to keep on doing it and I'll keep you guys updated. But if you've had a lot of, just trauma in your past, then somatics, you got to do the somatics. So what I want you to do for the next 2 weeks while we have this going on is go within and get in touch with your vision. What do you want to manifest in this next year? How can you be more empowered? How can you be more confident? How can you just hold that vision in a more firm internal way? Because that's what we're majorly connecting to, is really getting that internal alignment right. So we can really nourish ourselves from the inside. And the more that we can hold that vision, the more we can magnetize, it towards us, because we are actually magnetic. And the more we hold that vision, we can magnetize the right people, the right opportunities, the right inspirations to kind of go in the right direction, to, manifest what is right for us. And I like, what is really powerful is to write down 3 goals that you want to achieve or that you want to manifest. And you could achieve it sooner, obviously, than a year, or even before this conjunction happens again. But write down 3 goals and then write down 3 affirmations for those goals. And what you want to do is just affirm, as whenever you can, at least pick one of those, affirm it throughout the day, or at least 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. And what I like to do when I do it only for 10 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes at night is listening to music that will get you pumped up. Because when you're listening to music that gets you pumped up, I think it just amplifies the signal. And then it just kind of sets your whole day with like the right people and the right things kind of coming to you, so you can manifest things in a lot easier way, more in flow with your soulful aligned path. This is where we're setting our intentions, and we're setting intentions within, rooted from love and rooted from self-love, not out of fear or needing to prove yourself or out of lack. you want to make sure it's done in love, because that is the soil. That is what's going to nourish those intentions the most. And then, there is just a part of letting it go. It's funny with manifestation. I don't necessarily like to let it go. I like to make sure it's like embedded, like as a belief before I, kind of release it. And when that happens, you kind of feel it when it happens. But it's like you're planting the seed, and what you need to do is you need to water it. You need to tend to it on a daily basis. But when the manifestation happens is like up to nature and up to the universe. So all you can do is plant seeds of love. And I recommend only doing 1 to 3. Don't, because if you do too many, then your energy can really get scattered. So pick 3 things that you really want to manifest, and then do the affirmations and tend to it on a daily basis for the rest of this August. Or longer, actually, if you want to keep on doing it, because we should be constantly manifesting. When you plant the seeds from love, you're planting them for infinite potential to happen. Because when you're manifesting from that soulfully aligned place, you let the infinite happen. You're not too rigid or too blocked off with your manifestations. So make sure they're soul aligned. That's really important. And you want to look at your sun sign if you want to be aligned with your bigger soulful perspective and your purpose. Your sun sign is your core identity. And if you need alignment to go into, that more soulful direction, then definitely look at your sun sign. That usually has themes with your career and your calling. And you want to look at your moon sign with that to become aware of that internal story that you're telling yourself, because we're not always completely aware of that story. So the more that we can bring awareness to that, the more we can be internally aligned with whatever we're going after. And your rising sign, look at your rising sign. This is the objective. This is how people see you. And this is how people see your life events and everything that happens in your life. And this is why it's the most accurate with events that happen, and with, just predicting events that happen, because it's how you move through life. And, that's why it's very accurate with transits, with when something, will happen. So Leo, I love this for you. With Saturn and Neptune in your 9th house, you're really aligning with your bigger, soulful path and mission, and your meaning and purpose, and your bigger vision. And you really do have direct access to your higher self. So it's very important to listen. And there would, if you're very strict on a religion or with a way of thinking or a system, things would probably be breaking down right now. So, or not breaking down, like you might be just questioning things more, because you're like, is this really right? Does this feel right? Is this the most empowering? And only you can answer those questions. You should only be looking at yourself to, figure out like your ultimate path that lights you on fire and lets you take the lead in that direction that's just perfectly right for you. Oops. You are a trailblazer, with the way with your beliefs. So follow that direction, whether it is spirituality or religion or, a bigger vision of what you think you can achieve, and align with it in your heart. Really spend some time connecting to your higher self and listening, within. So what to transform and what to, bring with you. You might even be drawn towards more traditional religions or, just philosophies. And it is important to see what can be brought with you. What is the core of those philosophies or religions that doesn't have that distortion, that isn't causing more guilt or fear or shame or just blocks, because you're meant to be kind of a trailblazer in this new era. And it's all about connecting to that belief, that vision, that philosophy that is the most empowering to you, that will really rocket you out in the world. And the more that you just hold that belief of what you can possibly achieve, and you should be Delulu, actually, the more Delulu you can be, the more the easier it can actually happen with Neptune here. Like you either go high or you either go low. So be Delulu, be very excited about what you can possibly achieve and see what happens. But this is just kind of a trial and error period. And you're really going to be more firm with what what you're believing, more so next year. But this is a slow evolution at the same time, because Saturn is going to be here for the next 2.5 years, and then Neptune will be here for the next 11 years. So you're going to be evolving, through your beliefs and, connecting in higher ways. Because what was I going to say? Oh yeah. Caroline Miss, I love her. She's kind of like such a hard ass a little bit, for spirituality, but she's a theologian and she knows all of the religions. So she's really, powerful to listen to, actually. And even like the new age spirituality is kind of fucked up, because we're all talking about conscience or consciousness. I reversed it. We're all talking about consciousness instead of talking about conscience. When we all used to talk about conscience back in the day, like what's good, what's bad, and we innately know it. And if we just bring it back to that, like if we just think about conscience, like that gives us that firm foundation with what we believe in, that is like of the highest truth, that is good for everyone to kind of remember. I'm going to read her newest book, by the way, because I think that will be very, very helpful. And then with Uranus here, you can break through to new ideas, new friendships, new communities, new people to connect with. If you're aligning with a bigger hope and dream and vision of what you can possibly achieve, and you're holding that, then this is where people would come into your life that are similar mindset. You're magnetizing them to you, or there's an easier way to achieve your hopes and your dreams that is more co-collaborative with a bigger group. Or there's, higher dimensional messages like coming in, because the 11th house is definitely the house of channeling with the higher dimensions. So, if you're doing the work and having a daily devotion and a practice where you're clearing out your energies and you're lightening up, then you can definitely be channeling also. Anything else? Yeah, you can have major breakthroughs with what you can do with your dreams and what is possible. And then like get more serious about achieving that, more so next year. This is the trial run. Okay, so Ace of Earth. And you might actually, if you travel, you can meet a whole different group of people that expands your world in a whole different way, where you can kind of be kind of more spread out all over the world. So that's kind of exciting. Like I traveled recently and I went to that writer's retreat, and I'm getting readings from like people in England now and like over there. So that's like a way that, you can kind of branch out into the world that can be also really good in general. So traveling, definitely do it, because that'll broaden your worldview and bring you people that are supportive of your ultimate, higher path, your Dharma timeline, because the 9th house is all about being on your Dharma timeline. And sometimes you explore and follow your curiosity. So you get on that soulful path that is easier to kind of live, because your Dharma timeline is easier to live. It's not the karma timeline where you're stuck in the loops and the patterns and the cycles. Okay. So Ace of Earth came out. There can be a new way to make money that is actually more liberating. And the Six of Fire, it is all about you following your happiness and your joy and what inspires you. And don't, sometimes we hold ourselves back. Like I've had so many people coming to me like, is this an ego thing that I want to be an actress now? That, like people that are, in their 50s or 60s, like, is it an ego thing that I want to start writing now? This is my dream that I've always wanted to do. Is it an ego thing that I want to be an actress now that I can, now that I'm not taking care of kids? It's like, no, it's not an ego thing. That is your life destiny. Like your soul is pulling you to do that. So definitely don't hold yourself back from anything that seems like an ego thing that society like deems. If it lights you up, if you're passionate about it, if you're excited about it, then it's up to you to trailblaze and like go in that direction. So the shaman came out. There might be, the shaman, I like shamans in general because that religion, it is just connected to spirituality. There is no judgment, there is no rules, there is only connection to all that is, and being able to transform, the light and the darkness, so you become more aware of all of it and you see how you can transmute things into a diamond. And if you've kind of been on a a lot of us actually, especially right now, because we've come in such a difficult period of time where we've gone on our own shaman journeys of going to the darkest of the dark, then coming to the lightest of the light, and doing that a couple times, so you know how to transmute your own darkness so you can come back lighter, especially Leo risings. This is your talent, or this is a talent you need to learn. But every single time you do that, you know that you are going through a shaman's journey, but you're doing it alone. You're not doing it like in the past where we did have, our ancestors and our elders to help us through. So it kind of makes us more badasses almost, because like it's so scary to do it on your own. But when you do it on your own, like you are truly in tune with your own unique way of doing it, and therefore aligned in your most authentic path with, just more so aligned like on your authentic path. You don't go to shaman school and get a certification, which nobody did back in the day. So recognize your ability to transmute the darkness, to find more diamonds and money, because actually, you are headed towards more abundance in a big way, and more abundance that is probably more about your creative expression. The second chakra came out, so that's all about your creative expression and recognizing what needs to be created. And it could be art, it could be music, it could be anything that you really feel called to create. It could just be social media stuff or a book or whatever. Create it. This is very important. Creating is very important for humans in general. It sucks that it's not like mandatory for everybody, because it would lead to a lot less addictions and a lot less problems, like a lot less bad behavior in toxic relationships, and a lot less addictions, or a lot less of us using our creative energy in not a good way, where I think you using your creative energy is going to help people realize where they need to start creating also. All right, Leo, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. So definitely write down 3 things that you want to manifest. Make 3 affirmations, for each of those 3 things. And you will be headed towards that in a very exciting way. Spend a lot of time visualizing and connecting with it and magnetizing all the right people, and, having your own consciousness breakthroughs. So you can become a master manifester of your life. All right. Thank you so much, Leo. Hi, Virgo. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Saturn and Neptune in your 8th house, making a sextile to Uranus in the 10th house. So there is deep work that you're doing. The 8th house is pretty intense, so don't doubt you are going through the depths of your soul right now. But as long as you're proactive with it, then the easier it can actually be. Because Aries is all about taking action. And the more that you can do the shadow work, kind of go internally and bring yourself to more of that deep self-awareness and that knowing, and releasing, all of the denser things. Here's the vibrational scale. Release any of these things so you can, ascend really fast, actually, because the more that you do that, you can release all of this stuff and turn it more into, passion, excitement, just giving yourself more permission to go after your desires instead of letting any of these heavier emotions hold you back. But yeah, it can bring up fears, anxieties, all of the heavier things. So recognize that when those are being brought up, you're transmuting them. You know, it is not just, it's not you. Like you are not your thoughts right now. You are not your emotions completely right now. They are just being brought up in a, you know, intense way. And it's important to not, you know, completely tunnel vision and tunnel into the fears, because sometimes with the eighth house, we can get like ultra fearful because something came up or we're worried. And it's important to detach. It's important to focus more on the love, focus more on the alchemy that you can go through. So definitely feel all your feelings. And if you spend some time doing this shadow work, or I don't like saying shadow work anymore, because Shaman Durek actually does say shadow love, because you're just bringing more love to yourself. And work is actually like a slave term. So I don't like using work in general. You know, because like we, even doing this, we want to be of service. We want to, you know, like all those better words that you can use besides work. But yeah, doing that self-love work, because the eighth house is where you can look at that darkest aspect of yourself. And as long as you bring that compassion and forgiveness, then you're majorly releasing yourself and you're making yourself whole again, back to, you know, your original form, you know, who you were before any of the trauma happened and all of that. Because the eighth house can be traumas, it could be the ways our relationships went wrong, it could be death. The darkest aspects of humanity is what you're facing in an intense way. And Saturn only comes here once every 30 years, and Neptune, you know, only comes here once every 84 years. So this is a very rare transit, and you are majorly internally purging. But when you're doing that purging, and when you get more so aligned with self-love, you become magnetic. You know, you become magnetic to the right relationships. This is asking you to be empowered with relationships too. You want to kind of be very like, who are you merging with, and do they make you feel empowered? Then that's who you want to be merging with. Do they, you know, do they appreciate your shadow? Or it's not like we appreciate our shadow when we get into relationships. You know, the shadow is still annoying. But it's like, you know, usually if you're with somebody who, you know, has a matching shadow, which could be like something like being too messy or being a little too brash, or usually you can have matching shadows. So it's like, but that's okay. You know, if you really love somebody, it's like, you know, that's okay at the end of the day. But the more that you get self-empowered, and the more that you are clear with who you are from that place of self-love, you will have the better relationships, and, you know, better co-collaborators, and a better relationship with money. This is where you transform things with relationships, psychologically, emotionally, everything. So very important area. And yeah, it's good to kind of transmute all that stuff so you have a lot more freedom, because what this is doing is getting you really magnetic to your core, so you are liberated out in the world. With Uranus in your 10th house, it's time to be a trailblazer. It's time to be the rebel. It's time to be unique. It's time to do what you really want to do. And that might be a path that is so authentically yourself, and there might be new interests or a new idea or a new way of doing things that you feel really drawn to, that it's sparking your curiosity and your excitement, and it's opening you up to a whole different world. So this is what you want to follow, and it's all about doing that, you know, internal work, so you are released, so you are excited to go on this, you know, whole exciting new adventure with Uranus in the 10th house. So hostilities, you know, sometimes we can, you know, become more aware, or a lot of the earth signs are saying, you know, mostly Capricorns that I talk to, that they're very sensitive right now. And that happens when Neptune is in like a dark house, because you're feeling so much more. You can't like stuff it down. like you used to. But this is the bodily intuition that's showing you who's right for you, who's wrong for you. And it's really time to listen to that intuition with where you're spending your time and your energy. And it might be in a relationship, or it might be at a job where, you might have more of a warning system or something, or just like amplified emotions where, like, if it's right, you're feeling good. If it's wrong, like maybe it's wrong, and really like kind of feel into your body about that. And the thinking woman, sometimes when we get in too caught up in our head about a relationship or about a job or a bit about something, like things in life, that's actually where we're not listening to our intuition. If we're constantly thinking about it all the time, it's actually not really right for us. We need to get back into the body and listen to the intuition, because if we're questioning and questioning and questioning, like our society has taught us to accept so many things by logically-ing it out, making it okay in a logical way, where it's actually not for your highest good, and your body is saying one thing and your head's saying a different thing. So pay attention to where that could be happening, because this could be a redirection towards a path that is really meant for you, that will be fulfilling to your head and your body, and more so from the heart. But yeah, you're finding the pearl of yourself. When you do that deep eighth house shadow work, you go into the core of who you are and what you have been through, and what like that natural like core essence of who you really are that got you through like all of this shit. And you can give yourself so much love to peel back all the layers. Like, you see how there's like shadow around that can be all the masks that we put on, that can be all the personas, that could be all the identities and ways of being that we thought we had to be to get love, to get money, to get success, to get whatever, where you're getting back to the core and you're realizing that's actually where everything can come from. The more you get aligned with your heart and your natural gifts and talents and everything that you came here with, the more you'll be aligned with everything that's really right for you. Definitely balancing out your relationships or work with the Six of Pentacles that came out. And the more that you find that balance, the more you're going to be able to release the anxiety, because the anxiety will only be coming up if it's telling you to like make a change, make a change, make a change. All right. Yeah. And recognize who the fuck you are in this pearl, within yourself. So you can go in these exciting, liberating, new directions that are going to be so meant for you. All right. Thank you so much, Virgo. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Oh, and by the way, for Virgo, somatic work, I think would definitely work for you too, because yeah, that actually, your body is holding a lot of the trauma too, not your mind. Okay, so Libra, let's look into what's going on for you. So you're going through a big shift when it comes to your relationships. You're going through deep realizations with how can you be empowered in relationships. You're also taking a look at them very seriously with what do you want? What do you want? What do you not want? What do you want to commit to for the long term? Do you want to get married? Do you want to move in? Saturn makes you see where you might want to commit long term. What do you want for the long term? And with Neptune here, sometimes we can have rose-colored glasses and everything. So what you definitely need to be doing is getting into your body when it comes to relationships. How do they feel? Do they make you feel relaxed and really settled in yourself? Do they make you feel, comfortable? Or do you feel do you feel like anxiety? Your body will definitely tell you who and what is right for you. Your body intuition like definitely knows. So this is definitely where you don't want to be thinking things out. You don't want to be logically out your relationships. You really want to feel them in your body. And the seventh house is also marketing strategies. If you own your own business, this can be a way that you're kind of looking at the bigger picture and you're visualizing, where you want to go long term, and really getting in tune with that vision internally with where you want your business to grow, to make that dream happen, So it's really important to visualize the, the business that you want and, really connect with that. Maybe plant seeds for that. And same with the relationship. What kind of relationship do you want? Your soul and your heart really knows what kind of relationship you came here to experience. So if you're having trouble in your current relationship, this is where actually you can connect more so to your higher self and then have those conversations and see if you guys can really, work it out, or if there's just some sort of misalignment that's happening right now with the new energies. Because the thing is that these are completely new energies and we're entering a completely new era. And, sometimes when that happens, it's nobody's fault, but it's like a new era where everyone's being shifted into a new path and a new direction, and sometimes new soul contracts. So soul contracts will definitely be coming in. You're definitely being aligned with the right soul contracts. And, with Uranus in the 9th house, you're having major breakthroughs with new perceptions, new beliefs, maybe eccentric ways of viewing the world, eccentric things with spirituality, which could be like channeling or astrology or, all the different things, shamanism, channeling. Did I say channeling? Anyway, all the different spiritual paths that can kind of open you up to more meaning and purpose. This would break you out of anything that was kind of dogmatic or holding you back. But this is a time where you can develop beliefs that are so authentic to the core of who you are and what you believe. So you can go on the right path and connect with the right people. And, maybe you go on vacation with somebody and actually they open up your world in a whole new way. It's kind of like when I moved to Hawaii for like 4 years, and there was a completely different way of living life and a completely different culture that wasn't, I hate to say it, white-based, because, there's so many things with academia and school and whatever that actually makes us so like structured and kind of psychologically boxed in, where when you travel and you see people living in different ways and they don't even consider some of these things and they do have a lot more freedom, then this could be something actually really empowering that sets you more so on a journey with more meaning and purpose, and more towards how you can live with more freedom, because Uranus in the 9th house trining you at the end of the day is trying to liberate you. It's trying to say you can be on your Dharma timeline, which isn't the karma timeline, where you can get stuck in relationships and be stuck in the same loops and the patterns and the cycles and all of that, where it's saying, fuck that. And life can be easy. Life can be liberating. But it's all about you being able to go on this personal evolution and you being super authentic to what you want. So you can, live a life that's more so fun and adventurous and exciting and elevating you in some way. So see where, and with Saturn and Neptune that will be conjuncting here next February. Yeah, this could be a whole new start just with relationships and how you deal with relationships. And these are romantic, friendships, business, all of that. Like, are these relationships empowering, and how can you be the most empowered in these relationships? How can you not people please too much or self-sacrifice? Realize that people pleasing is manipulative, because it is. Like, you don't need to self-sacrifice. You do need to bring the power back to yourself and find relationships and more harmony and balance that is, good for all. Okay, anything else with that? Let's see. Yeah, I don't know, the Fool. Some of you might be called to take a leap into the new. Like, you might feel just some sort of calling like this. Yeah, this looks like, with the Mars Uranus trine that happened, like some of you could have totally like just had a flurry of a romance, like meeting somebody. They live long distance. Okay, I'll go travel. Okay, now you're going to completely change your world and move somewhere different by February next year. And that's exciting. You are meant to be going through a very evolutionary, empowering journey with love. And the more that you do that, the more that you can awaken to more love. But at the same time, I don't know why I'm being reminded, like right now, like I'm kind of being reminded of, like, rock stars and singers and all of that. They do have really a lot of relationships where they're on and off or whatever. And it's because that stuff does create a lot of, it people living more so on their soulful path and having experiences. Like there's things, you can read things out of books. You can, like, kind of try to, like, just live life on the internet or whatever. But there's something about lived experiences that does open up more creativity. You living something out, you going on an adventure, you really loving and trying to make it work, but then it doesn't work. And it's just like, I don't know, like there's not that, you're trying to live a rock star lifestyle where you make up and break up and all of that. But there's something about that maybe, living life in a way that is more authentic to you can really open you up. And then just having experiences at the same time can bring that fulfillment. Because at the end of the day, we're not supposed to just sit at home in a box and just like stay there. Like we did come here to live life and to kind of go on this fulfilling adventure of really feeling it all, because we can only feel all of it in this density, So, you don't feel everything like that when you're at a higher density. Okay. All right. So the hunter, it's all about you knowing what you want, you going within, tuning into how do you want to live? What do you want your relationships to be like? What is that soul aligned business that you want to create? And trusting yourself to go create it. The maiden, yeah, you might have some spicy love situations that you're really connecting to that make you feel like young again, that make you feel like so in love and so like just reignited with passion and everything. But that's because strong soulmate connections would be really coming in right now. And that's what they do. But they're technically bringing an energy that is actually a lot like you. And, it's, you guys are bringing that frequency again to each other. But, so that's why they can be very magnetic and exciting, and intense. And you can get obsessed. But at the same time, realize that that's also what's happening. And that's happening so you can get empowered again. So really embrace those relationships and really discover what you need to discover about them, because you are going on a journey. And I love that. And you go on that soulful journey. You don't plan it out. You listen to your heart and your soul and source, and you develop, you have that connection and God within. So you go on the journey that is really meant for you. And that is very liberating, because Chariot came out. You're finding relationships that are very yin and yang, partnerships. And just, you guys, there's so much more, willpower, when you find somebody that's like really on your side, that's motivating, that's kind of pushing you in the right direction. And this might be the right direction for the long-term satisfaction, but that's to actually build something at the same time. Long-term gratification. There's no short-term gratification with relationships right now. It is all about the long-term gratification. But that's really powerful with the Chariot, because, you find a powerful counterpart energy that is motivating you when you have an off day, when they have an off day. You guys can motivate each other. There's something that you have that they don't, that they're bringing in to balance you, and vice versa. And you just feel that when that happens. And it's very, exciting. Divine love coming in for you guys. All right. Thank you so much, Libra. Hi, Scorpio. Okay, so there's this new beginning that wants to happen, possibly with work. And I notice a lot of Scorpios, they do work, with bigger groups and everything. But I think Saturn and Aries is asking you to create, choose work that is empowering for you. But maybe it is kind of something like your own your own venture. So Like, because Aries is all about the trailblazer, going into the new. It is very kind of like entrepreneurial. Why can't I speak right now? Oh my gosh. Entrepreneur energy, where maybe you see an idea, maybe you see a gap in the market, maybe you see a way that you want to create, that your soul's asking you to create, because the North Node is in your fifth house too. So there's like soulful creativity that's wanting to be expressed through you right now, where you can go in that direction and see like how work can actually be enjoyable. How can you have fun at work? How can you have fun or work that is very empowering and liberating and allowing you to kind of ignite that spark in your passion, and let go of, what you're done with now, where if you're connecting within to a bigger in that bigger vision, what is in there, is it what you're doing, or is it something completely different? Really explore that. You're just going to get that vision within. And this might be kind of like, you really seeing what wants to stay, what wants to go, so you can really commit to things later, more so next year. But yeah, question, with everything going retrograde, you got to go within, you got to question what work do you want to take on, and what is your soul calling you towards. This is also health, diets, routines, exercise. How can you be more active? Somatic work might really, really actually be beneficial, because somatic work can, help you just release whatever emotions are stuck in your body. So you have a lot more freedom. And so you are more so tapped in to source. But yeah, any exercise routine that feels very empowering to you, any habits that are very empowering. This could also be you becoming more aware of, do the habits that you have, are they aligned with that bigger goal and that bigger vision? If not, how can you make a change? And you make that change internally first, and then you can see the shifts externally. But with Neptune, what was I just going to say? Oh yeah, the new discipline isn't going to be as disciplined as it was before. We're releasing the 9 to 5. We're building a way that we can work that is promoting our creativity in our own individual flow. And yeah, at the same time, it is still disciplined, So see how you can do that. And that is with all areas of life, just your routines, your habits, your work. How can that be, just more, not too rigid, more in flow and more empowering for you? Okay, so the Queen came out. So, oh yeah, and Uranus in the 8th. This is kind of shaking up, or not shaking up. This is innovating and making you look towards the future when it comes to your investments. Who do you invest your time and energy in? And this could be with relationships, or this could be with co-collaborators and contracts and business partners. Who sees that future vision? Who sees, and a lot of my Scorpio clients are working with AI right now too. So this is kind of a perfect thing, like you being open with AI and how you can have abundance in a lot easier way, because 8th house is your money, and it's how can you have those bigger chunks of money come in that doesn't take a lot of work, actually. You can have AI do a lot. So getting more freedom with your everyday to make more money in a very futuristic, future forward way. But also at the same time, this could be you doing somatic work. So you getting the trauma, like releasing it out of your body. And, that actually does liberate you from whatever you were holding in the 8th house, which is about our denser emotions. It could be shame, guilt, resentments, judgments, any of those things where, we're down here, worry, revenge, jealousy, insecurities even. where you can, all those things would be kind of coming up right now. So you are liberated. And I kind of like Uranus in the 8th house for that, because it's liberating you. It's setting you free from the stuff that was holding you back from being bigger out in the world. And that's really powerful, especially with this whole transformation thing that happened with, there was probably a big inner release recently that really set you free. It is not always pleasant. It is triggering, but bam, when it's gone, it's gone. You transmute these things into more love and more into self-love, so you can have better relationships, better business partners, so you can be a magnet to everything that you want at the end of the day. Because the 8th house, when you do that shadow work, you become magnetic to what you really, really want. Okay, so anything else? Now, hold your vision with what you want in your everyday life and how you want to work and how you want to be the most empowered. And then I think, everything can come in a very just kind of faded opening or, world opening way with Uranus in the 8th house. Okay, so let's see. First chakra, make sure you guys are getting grounded. With everything going on in your internal world, it is important to connect with nature, really connect with your ancestry in a certain way. To find that rootedness in this world. And then also, if some of you aren't living where you really want to live, this would be a good time to move. Maybe you're being called in a direction to actually, with Pluto and Uranus trine, like with this combination, you could find you can live exactly where you want to live, and you can probably find a deal, you can maybe find it right now, but more so move, next year. But open up. If you aren't living where you really want to live, maybe there is some of you really are just being called to go move somewhere else that will actually be more fulfilling. And or live in a different way. Like some people, if you want to, live here for 6 months of the year and live there for 6 months of the year, that's a thing too. Or just figure out where do you want to live and what feels really freeing to you. And then the queen, recognize your queen energy. And the queen sometimes, with Saturn and Neptune in the 6th, maybe not all of your coworkers like you, but the queen always has haters, but the queen's still the queen. The queen wouldn't be the queen without haters. So you got to shine your light anyway. And you got to realize how you can be the queen of your life, and self-care and self-love, and how you can kind of shed whatever's, been holding you back from, stepping into this more magnetic kind of feminine energy that just gets everything that she wants. And I think affirmations should definitely be a part of your daily practice, because that's how you can magnetize the right people, the right opportunities, the right ideas, the right everything to you. So something about recognizing the feminine energy and how you can magnetize everything. The Siren came out. What's this? 4 of Fire. Yeah. So this is really finding your community that is kind of liberating and exciting and, really makes you feel good. And there's a lot of just friends and connections and celebrations. So that is, again, with possibly moving to a place that you really love. But let me read the Siren real quick. It's all about releasing limiting beliefs with the 7 of Fire that came out. Maybe you were hanging on to something for a little too long, just because you thought, this is the way it has to be. But would be the time where you're awakening and freeing yourself and saying, oh, well, we can live life in a completely different way. And that's always exciting, kind of letting yourself go on this journey of life that is liberating instead of too stuck in. I can read Roman numerals, right? Can I? Yes, I can. Here we go. Siren. Okay, the Siren. The siren calls and the world spins. What we thought we wanted pales in comparison to the sweet allure of her song. We find ourselves lost in a spell of desire and longing. perhaps even lust. Whether the thing calling to us is ultimately good or bad, it is somewhat irrelevant. It's the journey that matters, and the work of the siren is to take us on a deep psychic descent. Follow her song, we go down, down, down to a place where lessons are learned and courage must be rallied to find our way back to dry land. Try as we might, resisting the call may not even be an option unless, like Odysseus, we bind our hands to the master of our ship. It's likely, though, that falling for her call is the only way we will come to live more fully on the surface. So when light awakens sensual absorption, arousal, when dark, wickedness, adultery, wreckage, betrayal. Okay, so the siren, you know, with Uranus in the 8th house, you might be called to like follow your deeper desires, because the 8th house is where we suppress our deeper desires because we're like, oh, society doesn't like that. You know, our parents don't like that, our family, whatever. And we suppress it. And then that's when we start feeling discouragement, anger, shame, guilt, all of that. Where you would be awakening to that in a major way right now, and awakening to the ways that your creativity wants to be expressed, because the 8th house is that sexual energy too that wants to be released. So, and also at the same time, very magnetic soul connections can come in that do awaken you also. And sometimes you can get obsessed and have that deeper desire with them because energetically they're coming in to like wake you up, and they have a very similar energy actually. With soulmate connections, it's like the higher you get to your own frequency, the more there's like a pull towards them, and there's just that magnetism. So some of those could be definitely coming in right now, but recognize that is just you kind of becoming aware of more of yourself. And don't tunnel into the obsession, you know, especially if it's a twin flame or something. You know, you kind of can't help it almost with that, but realize that that is happening. You're just becoming more of yourself, and you're developing more self-love for all of who you are, so you can be a master manifester for everything that you want in your life. All right. Thank you so much, Scorpio. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Sagittarius. So you have Neptune and Saturn in your 5th house. So this is definitely an awakening of love, an awakening of your heart. And you're really being asked to create and live more so from the heart versus the head. I think you more so out of everybody. But the more that you do that, and the more that you can kind of awaken with your heart and, you know, open up this channel of creativity, the more that you can move and live and create in a way that is more connected with your higher self. And, you know, this is where you need that sovereignty when it comes to creativity, self-expression, how you have fun, how you love, all of those things. How can you, or even maybe even raising your kids in a different way, how can you be more sovereign and do that all in a way that is right for you, for the way you see things, the way your heart is really feeling things? So you can transform any, you know, fear, or, you know, you don't want to be staying in your comfort zone. You don't want to be, you know, holding back your creativity out of insecurity. You want to be open to the limitless possibilities of the ways that your soul wants to express itself in that natural and easy and effortless way, when you are more so living from the heart, and when you are kind of allowing yourself to, you know, really be integrated in the higher energies. And then the creativity, you know, this can kind of come in a very easy and effortless way. So definitely prioritize your joy and prioritize your fun. And, you know, that can kind of open you up to this channel that wants to come in, or that wants to open up more of this channel into your heart. And this can lead you to more of an abundance of just, creativity. and more possibilities of the ways that your dreams can happen. Because the fifth house is definitely like a manifestation house. It is whatever we liked creating. It is our natural gifts and our natural talents. And the more that we can kind of lean into that and discover our natural gifts and talents and what we're passionate about and spend some time like really developing it and letting ourselves create in a really free way, then that can lead to a lot of abundance, because we're all really meant to come here and kind of get into our natural gifts and talents so we can have a very fun and exciting and lighthearted life. So how can you commit more so to a life that you love, that does give you a lot of passion and excitement and that you can commit to for the long term? So this could be like a business idea. This could be an art project. This could be you really investing into, music or movies or, whatever you're creating. You should definitely be creating something. And yeah, how can you let this soulful evolution happen when you really commit to that? Or if you're committing to a relationship, how do you want to be loved? How do you want to feel in love? And you want to connect to that internal vision so you can magnetize the right relationships to you, because Uranus in the seventh house is bringing these relationships that are very magnetic, that are opening up your world in some way that might be, extending your vision or something. And, maybe even possibly really awakening you so you can, open up to more love. The three of air came out. So sometimes that is like a heartache or something. So you really do feel. And sometimes that happens, if you're in a relationship, then sometimes like a fight can be long overdue, where you have that fight and then you realize how much you actually do care again, instead of just being in, stale, boring, this is just how it has to be mode, when you're meant to be awakening and kind of evolving in your relationships in some way, and being in your relationships in a way that is truly authentic to you. So maybe you do want a different kind of relationship. Maybe you do want polyamory, or maybe you do want more freedom. Maybe you want to live in different houses. Like that's actually was a big thing. I saw like an article next year, like living in different houses, but still like a committed relationship. Whatever, how do you want to be loved? What do you want your relationship to look like? And really be firm with that. At the same time, sometimes heartache, like maybe you're releasing a relationship right now. But no, you are going through an awakening in love either way. So like strong relationships will be coming in, and they are going to be more of the kinds that are, those soulmate connections that do push you to evolve and grow. You could definitely be delulu in love with Neptune in the fifth house, where you do have rose-colored glasses and everything. But, Saturn here is at least helping you really go back in, get serious, go internal. What do you want in love, So you can just be very, firm with that, and then, manifest it externally. So yeah, know if any heartache is happening right now, that, more love does want to come in, that is free, that is kind of reintroducing yourself to who you truly are, and those strong soulmate connections that kind of feel like home and familiar. And sometimes, you can be delulu with them and everything, because it's, that soul connection, there's familiarity and everything. And then there's that recognition, for the people that see more from that soul perspective and energy perspective versus that objective perspective. Sometimes there can be such that knowing and everything, where like you do, just energetically, it's hard to explain. You recognize them energetically, and they kind of, the vibration kind of feels like home and everything. And you're bringing a piece to them, and they're bringing a piece to you that you kind of forgot about, so you can embody more of yourself. And if you've never had that before, then a relationship can definitely come in that does do that for you. But that is so you wake up to more of your creativity, so you do get more connected to your higher self and all of yourself that is there, that wants to be more so integrated into your body, so you can manifest your best reality and kind of open up this channel of creativity. So the angel of balance came out. It's all about finding that balance in your relationships and balance with that like vision that you ultimately want. See, she's holding this glass, and this is kind of like ancient knowledge and wisdom. This could be more so balanced relationships from that different timeline, that higher timeline with the pyramids that were there. Those divine soul connections that we had when we weren't so disconnected from source and, fractured from our true selves. So shadow came out. You have Jupiter and Venus in your 8th house, so you might be going through a lot of purging of shadow and everything. But yeah, this is all about kind of recognizing your shadow when it maybe comes to love and your self-expression, and maybe where you were holding yourself back. So you can embrace the shadow, your shadow has that depth. It has that power within it. And the more that you kind of go within that shadow, the more that you can find what you want to express out into the world. And the vow came out. So it's about knowing who you want to commit to or what you want to commit to. Because I think this will bring you a lot of peace, you need to commit to something with your creative energy and, who you want to connect with. And I think that's where peace will actually happen. But yeah, there's definitely a shifting of relationships with the Chariot that came out. It came out reversed. It's who are you disconnecting from? And who's like not necessarily a teammate, because you're looking for and really getting clear with yourself about who that counterpart is. With the Chariot card, this is kind of like that divine counterpart card where there's the masculine, the feminine, the yin and the yang. They're just complementary. They have something. You guys might be opposites, but you guys complement each other. And with that, there is a lot of willpower and motivation towards your bigger dreams and goals. I'll read the vow, actually. So when the vow is spoken, the air shifts, karmic ties are formed, and destiny tilts on its axis. Our words and intentions have immense power. There is a reason the great mythic stories of our past often include the recitation of oaths and the mixing of drops of blood as a mark of union. The tricky part is that reciting the vow, no matter how casually, activates the eternal and unseen forces of the world. The ancestors, I've been hearing so much more about getting support from the ancestors recently, but okay, so the ancestors bear witness, the laws of nature respond. These promises cannot be unsaid or forgotten, so breaking them can leave lingering complexities and loose ends. This card calls us to acknowledge the vow we are living by, consciously or unconsciously, and either recommit to it or create a ritual that signifies its closure. You've been underestimating the powers of your promises. Yeah. What you commit to is very, energetically, it is very, very powerful. And it's kind of whatever you commit to, it does create so much power because you are directing your energy towards that one thing. So if you do want commitment in relationships, that can be really, really powerful. And that they say that's why people that are married are so much more successful, because, there's not a scattered energy all the time of your creative energy, especially towards all the, I don't know, all the dating apps or whatever, there can be a constant scattering of your creative energy when right now, you committing with your creative energy and making a vow to yourself with what you want to spend that on so you can manifest your best, easiest life can be so, so powerful right now too. All right, Sagittarius, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Capricorn. Okay, so Saturn and Neptune are in your fourth house. So you're actually going through a major core awakening, I think, all the way back to the past, like all the way back to childhood, really reconnecting to that inner child and who you really are before you suppressed everything. I've talked to so many Capricorns right now, and usually, I mean, before this happened, no emotion. Harder to get any emotion out of you guys because you guys are a brick house, or I don't know. But yeah, Neptune, right on your ruler, you know, it's really washing away all the blocks, all the egos, all the false personas, all the ways that you kind of blocked yourself off from the world. It is all coming out, and you are feeling it in your body. Like you might be more sensitive. And that is important because that's actually showing you how you can live a more sovereign life. And it's important to let the emotions flow. You know, this is what's guiding you towards living and creating a home and a family and a foundation that is really empowering to the core of your being, of who you truly are. Before you went through Pluto in your first house, which was definitely, a rough Pluto. I think Pluto in Capricorn was definitely like more rough at an angle than Pluto in Aquarius is going to be, just because, it is like Earth. It is like, whatever you're committing to or whatever you're dealing with, it is like for the long term, and it's not like easily changeable. So you're seeing like how you can be more free and how can you be more connected to who you are now and who you're transforming into. And you are definitely out of the signs, like embodying more of your higher self, like in the next 2 years, because Neptune's going to be right here, right next to your sign. In Neptune is the ocean. It's washing all that shit away. And so you embody more of your pure essence and more of your higher self. And the good part is it's going to make you look younger. So what you need to do is, somatic work can be very powerful, but at the same time, the more that you're just consciously embodying more love and more light, then the more you're releasing the past and anything that's not you, anything that you might have been hanging on to. If it's not love, it's a story. And, not all of us actually, I don't know. There was a crazy statistic, like the way we recite the past isn't always accurate anyway. So this could be like you really looking back to the past and being nostalgic, but at the same time, remember, we might not be seeing things completely clearly. So it's important to just bring everything back to love and looking towards the future, and how can you be empowered now, and how can you shed all that density and feel a lot lighter. And with Uranus in the sixth house, yeah, this could be new routines. This could be work that is liberating. Maybe you're working from home, and maybe you're just being empowered with work, and it isn't about the 9 to 5. It is about creating work that you love, that you're excited about, that's future forward, but also at the same time liberating. But also just creating health, diet, exercises, and routines, and healing practices that really like heal you, because we store trauma in the body. So it's important to deal with the trauma that's in the body so you release it. And it's kind of cool that way because you don't think it out, you just feel it out and you do the things to like let it release and all of that. So somatics again, but whatever else, I'm sure there's others, yoga is good too. And yeah, so you might don't hang on to, if a work isn't super fulfilling, there might be new work that you're being called to that is more authentically you, especially with this trine going on to your second house. You could be very powerful at work and doing what you love and having work that is liberating. And you're maybe helping people out in a new way. But yeah, easy abundance can come in definitely for you guys, because this trine is going to be happening for a while next year for sure. So this is a little taste of that. If you're following something that you're interested in, if you're seeing a new perspective, if you're excited about something, go in that direction, because that's going to be going towards work that is going to be, more for you, more fulfilling to you. So the call, you're definitely feeling a call. And the call definitely starts in the body, and this might be something that you're interested in. This might be signs or synchronicities pointing you in a certain direction. Whatever you're being called to is actually going to free you. With the garden and the gate, it's, the girl, she's very abundant here in the garden, but there's this fence right here. And she's been just kind of locked in here for a while when there's this whole abundance out here. So it's all about seeing where you can remove all of the blocks that have kept you a little limited, so you can have more of that abundance that is really meant for you. And give yourself a lot of appreciation. With the mountain that came out, just because you climbed the mountain, and you definitely did with Pluto in your first house, you climbed the mountain. You can give yourself the reward. You can give yourself the recognition. You are always the GOAT. You did it, you achieved, and that will always be in there, but at the same time, letting yourself soften after that and kind of release and open up to a higher version of yourself is where the power is really at. And that'll open up your heart too. So you're meant to kind of open up your heart and listen to your heart, start creating from your heart. I think connecting to your heart, where you kind of just have that direct connection in a very easy way, to source that, is obviously very easy for you to do right now. And 2 of water came out. So special relationships will come in when you are doing what you love, when you're listening to that call, when you do take those messages of water. This came out reversed. So maybe there's been messages of love, or just like, do you want to do this? Do you want to, or your soul calling you in a certain direction? You should go do this. You should go do that. Like, try this. And, maybe you're a little too pessimistic, or just not receiving it. But, you're supposed to take that message. There's that cute little seahorse there that's kind of, guiding you in a certain direction towards, a more heart-fulfilled life, and towards the right relationships and abundance and fulfillment from listening to the call. All right. Thank you so much, Capricorn. Hi, Aquarius. Okay. So this is happening in your 3rd house and 5th house. So when you take your everyday life seriously, your 3rd house is your everyday life, your errands, whatever you do. When you become more sovereign in this area, you will find the most empowerment. And this is also about what you think every day, what you read every day, what you listen to. And, are you programming yourself, or are you being programmed? Because there's a way that you can be directly connected to your higher self, and having this bigger creative channel kind of guide you on a daily basis. But it's all about really getting you getting into yourself and trusting your channel and trusting your sovereignty to create your best life. And at first, it just starts out with, what are you doing in your everyday life? What is important to you? Where is your focus? Is it scattered? Because you can tell if it's been scattered if there's things around you that are just kind of all over the place, and your projects aren't moving forward, work isn't moving forward, or is everything kind of like, is there some sort of focus and things moving along? I think that's why it's really powerful to have 3 manifestations at a time, because, then your energy can't be scattered all over the place. But if you missed it, I did say, with manifesting with this, it's really powerful to write down 3 things you want to manifest, and then write down 3 affirmations underneath those things. So whenever you're deciding to focus on one of those things, you have affirmations to either mantra throughout your day, robotically affirm in your head throughout the day, or you do it 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night with music so you can feel pumped up. And then you'll see your focus kind of going in the right direction, and then your manifestations actually moving along because it just gets your attention going in the right direction. But this is, you can manifest like crazy with this in the third house. And it's all about getting your focus in the right direction, releasing all the old limiting programs that have possibly been holding you back. And then also scheduling your life, living your life, your everyday, boring Monday life in the way that is the most empowering to you. Because with Uranus in the fifth house, you're awakening to new ways of expressing yourself, new creativity, new creative projects, new ways of working. This could be creative business ideas. This could be just creative ideas for art or music or whatever you're working on. This could be a major breakthrough with marketing. So you do give yourself more flexibility, and it could be a whole new way of doing things that does lead to more abundance and more flexibility at the same time. But yeah, really be mindful of what you're thinking on a daily basis, because all our thoughts actually create our reality. Everything that we are right now, physically, materially, locationally, it is all because of our previous thoughts. So really be responsible with what you're thinking on a daily basis. And what really helps with me in general is the robotic affirmations until that just becomes your basic state. And until you just become really good at, one sec, I got to clear my throat. Until you become really good at manifesting your reality in a nice, smooth, easy way that is so soulfully aligned for you, then I feel like robotic affirmations are really powerful. So you catch yourself whenever you're not aligning with your higher manifestations in your higher self. And me clearing my throat, this is the area of life that is like your voice in speaking up. So maybe some of you, are learning to find your voice and learning how to speak up in a way that is, from your heart and more from your higher self. And not everyone's going to like it, but at the end of the day, it is your truth and it is your point of your reality. And your voice does count. And when you voice things out, you will see how much that does, affect your reality. So let's see. Because in this new era, creativity is going to be very important. And you being able to go through this evolution with creativity can really open up so many doors for you. So you can be on a higher timeline, just, doing what you love, following your passions, and really accentuating the talents that you came here with, recognizing your talents and then letting them take you, into the future. Because that'll help you evolve too with who you are out in the world and how can you show up as more of your authentic self. We all came here with very special, unique gifts and skills and talents that we're meant to share with the world, but a lot of us suppressed it or, didn't acknowledge it. But now it's coming back on big time for you. So you express them. And it lets you go through this personal evolution of showing up in a different way out in the world in a more powerful way. So love came out. I think strong relationships will definitely come your way, but there's a lot of strength with knowing what you love and staying true to your heart and not following the crowd, not following the people, and then moving from love at the same time. Messenger of water came out. So your intuition, you might be going on a little adventure to even find more of what you're passionate about, because Uranus is looking towards the future and at the new. And there could just be new interests, new hobbies, new things that you're excited about. So if you're listening to a podcast and it takes you into a whole different world and you're like, what is this? That could be definitely aligned more towards your purpose and your passions and your soulful calling. Trust the niggle that you're getting, because that is definitely a path that could be taking you towards more abundance right now, especially with Neptune in the second house. Like a soulfully aligned business is definitely a thing that you could be aligning with right now. And don't be afraid to walk away. It's important to say no to whatever whatever's causing so much heaviness and maybe a headache and just doesn't feel personally aligned with you. Feel free to walk away. And if you walk away from it and your body feels lighter and you feel excited, and it's like you just made that decision and you just feel better, like that was the right decision, and you're going to feel it in your body more so, because you are the magician right now, majorly. You have everything that you need right now to create magic and to manifest your best life. And it's all about trusting that vision that you're receiving, and then also that you have the tools and the talents and the skills and the gifts to do it all. And Anima Mundi came out. So that's interesting. This is the last card in the deck. It's kind of like everything. So let me read it. Anima Mundi epitomizes the principle, accept all, reject none. Simply put, it is the living soul of the world in all its multifaceted, multidimensional layers, bonded together by the loving cosmic forces. Diversity is celebrated, multiplicity is honored, and nothing is denied. Nothing is denied embrace. Constructs of separation dissipate into the wonderful mess of shared consciousness. Anima Mundi is the link between the literal and the imaginal, the rational and the mythic. It is the connective fiber that makes life meaningful. The card indicates an initiation on the level of the soul. You will be awakened, the unique light within, and witness how this light contributes to the radiance of the entire universe. You will sense yourself as a critical note in the cosmic orchestra. Destiny is altered as you hear the enchanted melody of all things. So when you are so aligned with your purpose and what you came here to do, what your soul is calling you to do, you are fitting into your frequency. We all come here with a frequency that we're really meant to embody. And that's how we can all really be abundant. And it's up to you right now to embody that frequency. And you'll do that by being more of your authentic self and finding your true path, and then expressing your gifts and your talents in kind of just doing it, because fifth house is a Leo house, and it's just like showing up with the way that you can radiate out in the world. And, it actually, you're a little Leo right now, kind of with this Uranus trine, because the more you go towards your fun and the more you go towards your passion and expressing your heart, then the more you're going to shine and radiate out in the world, and the more that you're going to find your path, and the more that you can take the heaviness of the Pluto in the first house and actually make it lighter, because you're showing other people how to live in a very authentic way that is fun, that isn't like self-limiting, that is just so in alignment with yourself and finding your freedom and really embracing your uniqueness. And then it allows you to go through this transformation that can actually be very freeing, not only for yourself, but for others. It can be very inspiring for others. So definitely follow your heart and know that you're meant to manifest and make big, beautiful things happen. And it's all about following your spirit. So you go along that little soulful journey, not little soulful journey. It is the big soulful journey, but it's exciting and it's fun, and you don't have to know the plan. You just have to trust. All right. Thank you so much, Aquarius. Hi, Pisces. Okay. So this is happening in your second house. And the more that you can claim your sovereignty with who you really are, what you're passionate about, what do you really value, that will really set you free with making money. That will make you very empowered with making money. Because we all came here to make money, or make money in a way that is aligned with what we value and aligned with our own talents and our skills and, what we're just naturally good at. And you're just getting a big boost with this. And it's all about releasing any lack or limiting mindsets. So you can kind of open up to more of your higher self and your soulful self to be open to the ways that you can create abundance for yourself. And you can create a soul aligned business by trusting and maybe monitoring that. You can say, like, I am living my purpose. I am doing what I love. I have a soul aligned business, and that can be one of your affirmations. So you can make it happen. And that is the easiest way that you can have a ton of abundance coming in with Neptune in the second house for the next 11 years, right? 7 or 11 years. So anyway, sorry. But yeah, really just kind of opening up to the infinite ways that abundance can flow into your life. And really, when we focus on money, sometimes we go in the wrong direction. Instead, you got to listen to your soul, because your soul's taking you in the right direction. It's saying, here, follow this. Here, follow your heart. Here, this is where your curiosity is taking you. This is what you're excited about. And then you kind of go along the journey and you find the information or the pieces or the thing that you're really interested in, to start spending time on that so you can be empowered with making money. Because with the sextile to Uranus in the fourth house, I think you're definitely awakening to more of who you are at that core level. Uranus always reminds me of like just the up level of frequency. So you could be getting just really awakened right now internally to your multidimensionality, or to who you are at that bigger soulful level. Or just, yeah, when you get awakened internally, you just like, more of you comes online. Your interests change, where you want to live changes, what you value changes. And you could be just going through a combination where this is, lightening you up. You're getting rid of all the stories in the past that aren't serving you anymore, so you can, be a little bit more freer in the future. And maybe you want to thrive with an at-home business, actually. If you want more freedom with your business or where you live, this could be something like you have a bunch of different, well, I was just going to say, I knew an Aquarius, and, he had a bunch of different investment properties. And, all his houses had problems, like with Uranus in the fourth house. So I don't know if I would suggest like, buying a bunch of different places and moving around. Not that that would happen, because Taurus is more like an earth sign. So like when stuff happens, like stuff really happened, like stuff broke down in the house, and, one of the houses burnt down, and like, so I don't know if, Gemini probably won't be as like severe, because again, when stuff gets shaken up in Taurus too, it kind of like changes your whole life, and it changes more of those permanent things. But yeah, maybe you want a business that is more flexible so you can travel the world. This is what that kind of looks like. So you have a lot more freedom. So you don't have to be stationed in one place. I think with Pluto and Aquarius, like nomad life is going to be a little bit more popular instead of being so fixed in one area. But it's personal choice, whatever you really want to do. And yeah, I think internally, at least, you're just awakening to more of what you love, especially with Jupiter and Venus in the fifth house. You could be awakening to more of your natural skills and talents and what you're naturally good at. And you're lucky with heading in that direction to find more of, what you can possibly do. So door to romance, your heart is definitely being unlocked. I think this is definitely, there can be ways that you had blocks with your self-worth. And when you open up to that unconditional love for yourself, you do release those blocks of self-worth. Or when you release the stories from the past, you do like unlock your heart in ways like sometimes you don't even know how you've blocked yourself off from love until you go through a transit like this. And then it's like bringing awareness of an old story that you can be liberated from, and you're releasing it. Or you can be doing some healing work with your body. And then that's also like up leveling your self-worth. If you start working out, if you do somatics, if you are just like taking care of yourself more, because that's second house things, then you can really up level yourself and, your self-love. So definitely seeing where you can free your heart to go create more abundance and more love and more prosperity and more of all the things that you really want to manifest. And it looks like actually that could lead towards Page of Pentacles, a new way of making money, new abundance, and maybe somebody coming your way to offer you a new way to make abundance. But yeah, you're going to find it within the forest. It's like you already have everything within you, especially as a Pisces. You are just connected and very wise in a way that, most people don't really even understand. And that's not always, you don't come across that way always, but there's a deep, deep wisdom to you and higher soulful wisdom already. So I think just with this Pluto Uranus trine also, you're just waking up to that majorly, like more of your gifts and talents in past lives and ideas, powerful ideas, and what stuff like that. Like pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to your imagination and what's coming through, because that could be something that actually brings in a lot of stability. And it is like a cliche, like you already have everything inside of you, but we all do. But you are definitely waking up to that right now to really create everything that you want in life and everything that you deserve. All right. Thank you so much, Pisces. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Aries. Okay, so this is a big one for you. You are definitely stepping up into more embodiment. And with Saturn and Neptune in your first house, my hair is so crazy all of a sudden. One sec. Hi, Aries. Okay, so this one is a big one for you because Saturn and Neptune are in your first house. So this is all about yourself, your identity, who you are out in the world. It's about your avatar, your embodiment. And with Neptune here, you're really seeing a higher version of yourself that you can really step into. This would be a time where you're releasing all the false identities and the ego and the way that you kind of put on a mask or the way you were, the smaller version of yourself versus that higher version of yourself, where you can see that vision, you can get in touch with it internally, and then you can really embody it. Your intuition is very powerful with the overall vision of your life. What you want in relationships, what you want in career, what you want, as a home and foundation. So it's very important to go within and get in touch with that. And then step into more embodiment. Who is that person that has everything that you want? How can you show up out in the world as that greater version of yourself that kind of receives everything that you want in a very easy, effortless way that is very soul aligned with yourself and who you are? And obviously, the more soul aligned that you can be with your manifestations, the easier it will be to kind of go towards it, planting those seeds of love. And I don't know if I've said this for every sign. I kind of meant to, but I said it in the very beginning. It is very important to write 3 things that you want to manifest, and then write 3 affirmations underneath those things. And you can robotically affirm them throughout the day, or you can affirm 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. I suggest with music because that makes you feel, very pumped up. You are a master manifester. So it's really, important to get aligned with what you really want to manifest. And with Uranus in the 3rd house, you're thinking differently. You could be doing things differently in your everyday life. Your thoughts are very, or your words are very authentic and real. You could be coming across in just such a more powerful, real, authentic way. You could be awakening people. But this is majorly you're breaking through old thought loops, any old programs that kept you stuck or limited. You could be changing in a very effortless way. And it does start out with everything that you want to manifest. And if you are robotically affirming throughout the day, then you're going to break out of the loops. You're going to start doing things differently in your everyday life. And you'll be going towards the right ideas, the right innovations, the right ways of scheduling, the right ways of doing things on social media that can lead to major breakthroughs. And in general, with Uranus training the sorry, one sec. You might be clearing your throat chakra too. But with Uranus trining Pluto in the 11th house, you can have powerful marketing strategies, either for your own business or for social media. So really be open to receiving that. If that is part of the things that you want to manifest, really set that as what you want to manifest, and then be open to the new people, the new ideas, the new things that can come into your life that can break you out of your previous reality into a more expansive, liberating reality. So the shapeshifter came out. You're really developing that strong, core self that is the same in all, aspects. Actually, I'm going to read that, but yeah, storm warning. So storm warning is coming out. There might be just moments of awakening to your higher self, because the storm card always has the lightning. So you could just be, you have your consciousness like up leveled in a serious way where you didn't see things this way. And then all of a sudden you see things in a whole different way where it is just, an awakening. And it does lead to more abundance because Eight of Pentacles came out. This might be you recognizing the skills and the talents that you already have so you can monetize them, or seeing where you can put a little bit more time and energy to really build something and to really go in a certain direction, to learn more, to really make bank. Because the women of the with the coin came out. So this is all about your stability and your success and breaking out of past karmic loops. And you can only do that by having a vision and by manifesting. Manifesting is how we break out of karma, because we do set our standards higher, and we do kind of, embody more of our true selves and all the things. So know what you value, so you know what you want to manifest. And let me look at the shapeshifter card. Let me find it. The trickster, the elusive, the formless. The shapeshift. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. The shapeshifter has a love of theater, games, and trickery. Its energy appears as one thing, only to reveal a more complex story below the surface. The shapeshifter is within all of us to some degree. It is the side of ourselves that is slippery, non-committal, and experimental, and longs to dismiss the rules. We need its energy to adapt to the ever-changing landscape of our existence. When the shapeshifter card appears, it's important to imagine that you are looking at life through a kaleidoscope rather than a single focus lens. At any moment, the scene may shift, revealing a more enchanting vision than you imagined. Be wary, though, as the allure of the kaleidoscope can leave you exhausted and yearning for solid ground. Dance long-term with the shapeshifter, or yearning for solid ground. Dancing long-term with the shapeshifter requires a central pillar of integrity that links us back to our center. Okay, so yeah, that's very important for you to get in touch with your higher self and the core of who you are and your soul, and really commit to that. Because with Neptune in the first, people might be seeing you in different ways too. At the same time, you might be seeing the world in different ways at certain times, because Neptune can cause rose-colored glasses and, sometimes illusion. And you'll know what's right for you, and you'll have that discernment if you are really just firm in the core of who you are, and you are leading from, just love in your higher self. And then that can bring the most clarity. All right. Thank you so much, Aries. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Taurus. Okay, I love this for you. With Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house, you have direct access to your higher self. You are channeling, you are becoming, yeah, you're just so connected to your higher self and all that is. And it's really just up to you to give yourself a long time to connect, go hermit mode, really connect to your internal world and meditate, have a dream journal to receive those higher messages of what you can bring into this reality. You are on a soulful evolution with your 12th house, with these in your 12th house. So it's all about connecting to your heart in that higher expression of yourself so you can go on the best soulful path that is meant for you. And with Saturn and Neptune sextile Uranus in the second, this seems like a creative idea, a business idea where you can start making money and you can it might be a very innovative future forward way of making money. Maybe it does give you more time and more liberation and just more freedom, but know that you can easily bring something that is for the highest good of all, and really ground it into this reality. So really go internal and really know, get that inner knowing about what you want to create. And I think this could be majorly up leveling what you value. You're not holding yourself back to the old values. When we up level our value and we get it more aligned with our higher self and our spiritual self, we go and create more of the things that we truly value, that we won't stop valuing. You could become aware of your past life skills and talents and kind of going through this deep remembering of who you really are at that bigger soulful level, the version of you that has experienced multiple lives and lifetimes on this planet, not on this planet. And with that awareness and with that inner knowing, this can lead to, a lot of freedom actually, because then you kind of have more of a knowing of how you want to navigate things. And maybe you do want to activate some of those talents and skills that you have. So you can start making money, and you can make money doing what you love. And I love how the Queen of Fire came out and the King of Water came out. So this is really interesting. This is you're the only one that got king and a queen. So maybe there's something with divine counterparts that's really playing out. This kind of reminds me of like getting that inspiration with your feminine energy, which the feminine energy, doesn't really just sit around and like do nothing and just receive. The feminine energy, gets her energy from creating, from working on the things that she loves, on her passion projects or doing, work that she really loves. And I think that'll help soften the masculine energy too. So you can be a little bit more in flow with your feminine energy and create the abundance that is really meant for you. But it is all about getting in touch with the riddle. And that is very 12th house, because the riddle is like, what comes through the 12th house is soulful stuff. So it is like music, it's signs, it's feelings. And it's not logical, so you're going to feel it more so in your body. You're going to feel that energetic knowing and everything. But all of that can lead you towards more of abundance, a cornucopia, a lot of different ways to make money, because that makes sense with Gemini ruling the second house. You could have multiple streams of income and not be so locked in. But as long as you're following that intuition, I think you'll be guided in the right direction. Let me read the riddle. Okay, so the riddle, the puzzle, the question, the mystery. When the riddle is present, one must stop searching for the right answer. It cannot be found. And ultimately, it is not important. Rather, there must be a shift from the literal to the metaphorical, from the logic to the mythic. You are thinking too small and literal about the situation. The riddle card appears when the energy is deep and mysterious, like the elusive wisdom, the Zen cone, or in a Zen cone. Focusing harder won't do it. Neither will increased effort. Time, surrender, humor are your only allies. What feels like the most pressing dilemma won't reveal its deeper wisdom for a long time. Eventually, you'll learn a profound lesson from the riddle. For now, get comfortable with the limitations of your intellect and the reality of not knowing. It may, in fact, be the only reality there is. Yeah, Neptune in the 12th house. This is like the depth of the depth. It's the ocean. It's the unexplorable. It's everything that is. And there's no exploring everything that is. The more that you can kind of surrender to your higher self and to that bigger vision, you're not going to know it all, but you'll know you'll be at the right place at the right time, in flow with your higher self, on your highest timeline. But that does take faith and trust and releasing control and not micromanaging, actually, and kind of trusting the wonders of the universe and what actually wants to come through. And the more you surrender, the more stuff can come through, actually. All right. Thank you so much, Taurus. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Gemini. Okay, so this is happening in your 11th house. This means you got to take your hopes and your dreams and your long-term vision and your goals seriously. And you have to open up kind of and surrender to the ways that it can happen at the same time. You don't want to be too locked into one vision or one way things can happen, because with Neptune, it's more so you getting soul aligned and you getting more embodied into that higher version of yourself is where the best outcome can happen in a very easy, effortless way that is more in flow with who you are. And that's why I love Uranus in your first house, because the more that you break out of the box, break out of any molds, express yourself in the way that you really want to, become the version of you that you've always wanted to become, even if it's radical, even if it's different, as long as it's authentic, then Uranus is like up leveling your frequency, so you can step into higher embodiment. But every single time you do that, it just feels good and it feels right. And it feels like you're setting yourself free. And it's all about not needing that validation from your friends. You do want to be expressing yourself right now and who you truly are and what you believe in and what you like, what you don't like, what is your path. What is that bigger direction that you want to go in? What is that unique vision that you have too? And you might be called in a certain direction too that you haven't really explored, because Uranus is trine Pluto in the 9th house. So there's a lot of fear possibly with going towards meaning and purpose and following these more intense beliefs, or transforming your beliefs so you can have beliefs that are very supportive to you, but at the same time, not being afraid to expand your world and not being afraid to travel, so you do shift your worldview. That can actually be very liberating. So wherever you have been ignoring the call, because the call came out reversed, maybe pay attention to that. It's kind of like the first thing that you're afraid of is what you can overcome to give you the power right away. And for some reason, releasing attachments, there might be frustration with friends and that might be really annoying, but there is a faded shift happening with your friends right now. So you're meant to connect with friends that are very, bold and big dreamers and very like-minded, so whoever's maybe, getting shaken out of your life or giving you a little bit more frustration or more of a headache, Saturn say, okay, that maybe claim back your time and your energy, refocus on what you like. And then you'll find your people, you'll find the like-minded people that will help lift you up out in the world. Because there can be very, very strong co-collaborations here, but it's all about aligning with the right people at the same frequency where things move in an effortlessly flowing way, where there's a lot of just passion and creation to kind of create something that you guys all see. So surrender and kind of open up when it comes to your friendships. Don't hang on to anyone too tightly because, you might not be going in the right direction for your highest timeline, which that definitely, your highest timeline definitely wants to happen. Your Dharma timeline, your easy timeline, easy success and abundance and liberation and inspiring people, a bigger group, a bigger platform out in the world. This all wants to happen, but it's all about your freedom first, actually, and trusting your soulful journey. So the journey card came out. So this is like opening up new paths, new directions, and you'll kind of only know like moment to moment. And you just have to have that faith in that trust to, kind of let the journey unfold, as long as you're holding that vision within yourself with what kind of relationships you want to experience, what are your biggest dreams and goals, and holding that like in your heart, then all the right opportunities will come to you because you are going on to build a castle. And I love that. Let me read the castle card actually. But yeah, lots of abundance, lots of stability. It's no wonder fairy tales tell of sleeping princesses. Within the castle walls, like most archetypes, the castle is loaded with duality. It represents abundant riches, seductive fantasy, ornate wonders, and lavish adornments. Yet the walls are thick, cold, and shadowy. This card points to a tendency to hold on to possessions, quite possibly a literal home or position that projects the image or a position that projects the image of achievement. There we go. While the soul longs to run barefoot in the forest, leaving it all behind, at the same time we must settle down. Yet the castle lulls us with its spell of materialism, and we fall asleep to our deepest dreams. The castle can be a motivating force, an enchanting goal to travel toward, but it is best not to linger within the walls of the decadent deception for too long. So yeah, actually, maybe you thought success looked a certain way, but there's a way your soul's kind of being called to be set free again towards a bigger, destination and a bigger journey that is ultimately going to be more fulfilling. And you don't really know until you go on that journey. And then when you let yourself go free on that journey, it's like, oh my God, this is what my soul is craving. This is what I really wanted. I didn't want the house. I didn't want the mortgage. I didn't want, all of those heavy things that weighed me down. And it's about trusting that soul calling, that it's leading you in the right direction where you will be the most satisfied. So don't hold on too tightly to a position or an image of how things need to look in your life, because the more that you can just listen to that soulful calling, the more you will be guided in the right direction. Because the North Node in the 10th house, that is like doing what you love, like living a soulfully aligned business that feels good, that is abundant, that's in flow with who you truly are. And you're being guided in that direction majorly right now with Jupiter and Venus trining the North Node. So hold that vision, but at the same time, be flexible with how it can happen. And then also what possibly might spark your interest that is new, that leads you in completely new directions. All right, Gemini, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Cancer. So sovereignty is the name of the game when it comes to your career, when it comes to your long-term goals and who you are out in the world. What is that legacy that you want to leave behind? You're going to really get in tune with that at the core of your being. You have the vision, you have your passions and your interests, and you really know how you want to take the lead of your life in your heart. And it's all about really listening to that inner vision and your inner voice and your higher self to see how you can be guided in that bigger vision and in that bigger direction. And I think it's very important to not be too rigid right now with how things should look, when it comes to your career and who you are right now in the world. Sorry. because a big, bold adventure really wants to happen. And it's going to happen in that soulful way where you're just kind of following your curiosity and your passions, and you're just kind of living more in the now and moment to moment, and you're seeing where you're being led. And it feels right. It feels really right in your body and everything. And you know you're going in the right direction. You're following the energy that really is uplifting you and really energizing you. And that's how you'll know you're going in the right direction. You don't want to put any limits on it with how it should look, where you thought you would end up, societal ways that are acceptable, anything like that, that will actually kind of limit you, because Aries is all about your own path, the way you can uniquely show up out in the world. That is the way that only you could do it. So you know how to do it, how you can be the boldest version of yourself and the most authentic version of yourself. And yeah, the most empowered version of yourself at the end of the day. I liked Po Hala. I forget. I don't know. I'm going to just bring it up real quick. He's this Hawaiian guy. Po Hala Hawaiian Botanicals. He kind of goes on a rant about how we need to find our own, thing out in the world. And we can only do that by, being ourselves and then following our interests, and then also discovering what really works for us versus, going towards any outside authority. Anyway, you should listen to him. He says it actually a lot better. But you being the authority and the sovereign creator of your life to say what it should look like and how you want it to look like, in a way that will best serve you. Because with this nice sextile to Uranus in the 11th house or the 12th house, I think you're getting major downloads from your higher self, and you're majorly breaking through any limiting beliefs or stories from the past or ways that you even got in your own way. That is just like free, you're free, you're getting out of your own way, and you're stepping into more of your boldness out in the world. And yeah, these do take time because these are slow moving planets, but you feel it internally already. So definitely spend this next 2 weeks to really, feel it and know it within yourself. And I think then next year, it's just like off to the races, So I really like that. Mass yin and yang, for some of you, this might actually be you getting aligned with work and your career and what you're supposed to be doing out in the world. Actually will lead to the right relationships, because Saturn rules your 7th house. That is your significant relationships. These are business, romantic, clients, whatever, any significant relationship that's really meaningful to you. You're going to find them when you're doing what you love, when you're showing up out in the world. That is a way that you can only show up out in the world. So if you've been wanting love, go towards career and your passions and your meaning and purpose in life. And yeah, it's all about knowing what you need to walk away from. 8 of Cups came out. Becoming aware of what needs to be left in the past, what is just too heavy, what is not love, what is weighing you down and not, leading you more towards more love and more happiness at the end of the day, is what needs to be walked away from, what needs to be released, because it's only stalling you. It's only holding you back. So divine counterparts could definitely be coming in for the yin and the yang, though. And if not, that's balancing out your masculine and your feminine, which is making sure you make some time to become magnetic and open up your ability to receive and being in your divine feminine. And then just taking aligned action with what feels right and with that inner knowing. And that's how you can make these beautiful dreams happen out in the world. It actually doesn't have to be so much effort and force and, just like really like, just forcing things. It can be more so in flow with, who you are and creating that soul aligned business and journey and relationships in life that is, going to be the best for you, and then come in at the right time. But also, I just don't believe in divine timing anymore. I think if you do enough like shifts internally, and you do that manifestation work, I think, just changing that version of who you are, then things can happen a lot faster. So just, that's why, and robotically affirming might be actually really, really powerful, because working with your subconscious, which is the link to the universe, like it goes the universe, the subconscious, and then our consciousness that we have control over, like the awake one. And so we can only like manifest what we want into our lives, the right ideas, if we're thinking the right thoughts. And then, those thoughts are in our subconscious. So we get the right ideas and we're magnetizing the right things to us. Robotically affirming, or just affirming in general in the morning and at night, I think can be really, really, really powerful. Maybe subliminals too with this, but yeah. Okay, so let me read the storm. The storm, the chaos, the whirlwind, the disorder, possessing an energy. I drink an energy drink, so that's why I'm breathing a lot. Okay, wait, hold on. Possessing an energy much like the okay, wait, hold on. Some of you might be unblocking your throat chakra a bit more, because I just had to clear mine. So, okay, the storm, possessing an energy much like the Tarot's Tower card. The storm undoes all that is. Everything that was solid, known, and relied upon is stripped away by the winds of fate. The ground becomes the sky becomes the center, and the center disappears. The storm is a great equalizer, no matter how far we've come on the path, no matter our age, wealth, or wisdom. We can't hide from its savage winds. Their disturbing howls stir anxiety and make it impossible to see and think straight. You must wait it out. If you try to fight the storm, you will lose. A better option is to seek temporary shelter and a reliable friend. When all else fails, go within. There, for a moment, you settle into the eye of the storm. Yeah, so you will have when light, meaningful obliteration, meaningful obliteration, annihilation, when dark, meaningless disorder and dysfunction. Yeah, so even if there's chaos, going on right now, as long as you are the center of the storm, and that you can always go within and be so like solid in who you are, and in that highest version of yourself, and what you want, and in your heart, and what should leave, what should go. In your heart what should leave, what should go, and your overall direction and your soulful path. That will ground you, So if things are a little chaotic right now, even internally, know that the chaos is coming up. The feelings are being felt, because you're going to be massively liberated in a whole new way. I think the water signs, water is obviously like the element water, is taking in all the light right first, like the ocean. That's why when you go in the ocean and stuff, you awaken so much more, because water is taking on the light like the most right now. And therefore, I think the water signs are taking on the most light right now. And, when that happens, obviously, it creates a lot of internal chaos, It creates all those emotions coming up, and all those past stories, and all the old versions of you that aren't you anymore. So you can release that, because you're walking away from that, and you're going to be walking away from that towards more balance and more harmony and better relationships and easy abundance and all of that. So I love that for you. If you would like a reading, check out my link bio. Thank you, Cancer. I'm sorry, this is my last one. I'm like, all right, bye guys.